Welcome to Meaningful Mondays with the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, where we only know good people who do great things in our community. Whether you are a volunteer, a donor, or a nonprofit organization, each episode of Meaningful Mondays will celebrate you, our friends and neighbors who have a deep passion for and commitment to improving the quality of life for all in Middlesex County. So let's kick off the week with great conversations with remarkable people, businesses, and nonprofits making a difference right in our own backyard. Well, happy Monday, everybody. You know, every day in Middlesex County is special, but Mondays are even better because we have people like Melissa Josefiak and Kate Savage, the ones, the onlys. I had to put the plural in, from the Essex Historical Society. Thank you, ladies, for taking time from your hectic schedules to join us.
Thank you for having us.
Now it's your turn to brag. I happen to live in this lovely town of Essex, so I know all the great things that you both do and what the organization does. But really, the focus is, particularly because of 2026, is on our 250th anniversary. But let's back up. Let's talk about you and how you got involved with Essex Historical Society from the very beginning. Give some high-level highlights about the organization, and then let's dive right in about all the hard work you're putting together to celebrate this great nation of ours. So, Melissa, I'll start with you. You've been around for a while.
Thank you. In a very good way, right, Cynthia?
Absolutely. I'm the one with the gray hair. You're not.
Thanks. Yeah, so I've been involved in museums for over 25 years. I started at Wethersfield Historical Society, and I was just absolutely blessed to stay home with my daughter here on the shoreline for about 2 years. Wasn't looking for a job. And the great Brenda Makovsky gave me a call and said, I understand Essex Historical Society is looking for a supervisor of volunteers. And I thought, oh, do I really want a steady gig? I really enjoy my 2-year-old. And then I met Sherry Clark. And I met the team at that time, and I visited Pratt House, and I said, I think I can get back into museums. And that was in 2014, 11 years ago, more than 11 years ago. And since then, we took a very small group, and we've grown them into a dynamic organization. So for an example, our education programs, we used to do one morning a year. Now we're in 3 grades for 16 days a year. Now we field all sorts of questions for just in student education programs and expand all the time. So we're very pleased at Essex Historical Society to really grow our mission of engaging and inspiring the community in Centerbrook, Essex, and Ivoryton. And we've got over 50 volunteers. We are running probably 3 to 4 programs a month in 2026 in our America 250 year. We've doubled the staff, and I'm so pleased to join today's podcast with Kate Savage. And we're looking forward to a very bright future and doing so much more with history in the celebratory year.
Absolutely. And I know you've been very innovative with your walking tours and the materials that you use to expand those walking tours. So yes, you've done a great job. And so Kate, how'd you get involved?
Well, so I was a history major in college, and I, after having some, odd jobs here and there, after college, I found work at a food closet. So I worked in the profit sector in community out west where I moved from recently, and fell in love with nonprofit work, and I found that I did excel at fundraising, and then I had kids. And unfortunately, the nonprofit world does not make it easy to both work and fund daycare. So I took a hiatus from conventional work for a number of years, so that I could be home with my kids. And then when they entered, when the second of them entered kindergarten, I thought, I want to find something. And my friends knew I was looking. And the PTO president at the Essex Elementary School, where I'm on the board, she said, hey, Kate, there's this position for a part-time job at the Historical Society. It sounds like it has all the right things that you excel at. You should apply. And so I did. And when I was telling her about the job after my interview, I said, yeah, and I was a history major. She didn't even know I was a history major. So she really just tapped me for it because of my skill set in administrative and marketing. And so anyway, it was kind of an instant perfect fit. I think Melissa and I, we're both moms, so we both understand the need for the work-life balance. And I live in Essex as well. I'm in Ivoryton. But it's been really, really great to over the past couple of years. I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary with EHS, to learn about the town I live in and to get to explore it. And like I mentioned, my kids are at Essex Elementary, so I'm excited that this year my oldest is in 4th grade, so we are in the classroom with him for the first time.
Oh, good.
And yeah, and it's been really wonderful to get to blend kind of my passion for doing nonprofit work and again working with the community and volunteers and fundraising and blend that with my collegiate passion, which was history and American history specifically.
What I've noticed about both of you is you're so passionate about what you do. It comes across. It really does. So, and I just want to take a step back. Melissa, you mentioned two wonderful women, Sherry Clark, um, and then Brenda Mikulski. And they are just absolutely wonderful. Wish Sherry was still with us, but totally dedicated to EHS and the history of the town. So thank you for mentioning them because you do have a lot of good people who were behind you when you first started and continue to be with you. All right, so let's start with Melissa. Tell us a few more things about the programs that you do, and then we'll jump into what specifically you're planning for this amazing 250th anniversary. And
Thank you.
we'll jump back and forth between the two of you.
Sure, sure. So EHS runs a very full calendar regardless of the year. I mean, we start
Mhm.
off with our lecture series at Essex Meadows, and that's basically a straight lecture series, with questions and answer at the end. In addition to our education programs, we also open Pratt House. Now, we administer two historic structures, Hills Academy, where I'm speaking from, in our collections area, and also Pratt House, which is the town's only historic house museum. And that's open June through September on weekend afternoons. And in doing so, we like to take exhibits at Pratt House. We have regular tours. And in the summer is Essex's busy season. And so we also run walking tours and a number of collaborative programs. This year, this is our 4th year with the Connecticut Sea Music Festival. And we're going to be using that as an example to say it's the anniversary year. We're having the Connecticut 5th Regiment come and do some reenacting that whole weekend. And then we're also going to have a number of hands-on experiences at Pratt House that will continue through the summer. In between all of this is our very popular walking tours program. So Brian Rydell, who is our #1 walking tour guide, will offer Essex Village walking tours throughout the summer. And then now we're moving them from Sunday to Saturday evenings, which is a lovely time to be in downtown Essex. Then in the fall, we'll run a number of our other walking tours. We've got a great series at Riverview Cemetery, which is among our most popular. I can fit up to 50 people on those tours, thanks to audio devices funded by the Community Foundation of Middlesex County. And then in addition to that, we're also offering a walking tour of Riverview Cemetery based on the veterans from the Revolutionary War.
Oh, what a great idea.
And it was a popular walk last year, written and researched by our intern, Griffin Smith. He's our very first Sharon D. Clark intern in 2025. And then we'll get through the rest of the year with a number of other programs complementing what we do already. And even in the school system is asking for more and more Revolution era programs. So we're taking that tradition and then fleshing them out +1.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm exhausted with all the stuff that you just talked about. So, Kate, what can you add to that?
I can when we're specifically speaking of our 250th year. So, in addition to all of those programs Melissa just mentioned, and putting 250 twists on them, like the walking tour of Riverview Cemetery that focuses on the Revolutionary veterans, we have added a number of really great collaborative programs trying to bring history to everybody, basically, and to try to focus on not just the founding fathers version of the America 250 history, but really trying to encompass both women and the working class and everybody that, was around and big players in the American Revolution era. So we have this month, we are really excited to partner with a local business in Essex, House of the Triple Moon, to bring a history and uses of witch hazel, which is a native plant to Connecticut and obviously shaped Essex. Victoria, the owner down at House of the Triple Moon, is going to do an event with Melissa where we talk about history, but then we also talk about the uses and the practical ways that women would have grown, found this native plant in their kitchens and used it to help their kiddos when they got scraped knees. Um, so we're going to do that. We're excited to also partner with the Griswold Inn in March for a history of taverns in Connecticut talk that we're sponsoring. Yeah. So that'll be really fun because it's the Grizz's 250th year as well. Right. So that's really fun to get to partner with a landmark and get to have people enjoy a pint while they are learning about tavern history in Connecticut in a historic tavern. So we're really excited to kind of bring a lot of these newer programs. We're doing a Women of 76 program in May, where we're bringing a speaker who's going to do she's going to do present history in a first person interpretation as different famous women of the era, from Mary Catherine Goddard, who was the printer of the Declaration, to Abigail Adams. And then we're bringing in some fun as well. We're doing a nostalgic toys and tech expo with the Essex Library in March, where we are pairing basically history with things that kids want to discover. So the toys and technology from the past 50 years. So since the bicentennial, because you can't get to 250 years without the past 50. So kids can kind of touch and feel and explore technology that their parents and grandparents would have enjoyed in their youth. So we're really hoping it's going to be a great collaborative free family program where kids get to just say, "Mom, what is this?" and have the mom explain what a floppy disk was.
I love it.
Which, they'll say, "Wait, this is like the icon on the save button," and we'll get to say, "Yeah, it was a physical object once upon a time."
Oh my gosh, what fun! What fun!
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, I hope you're going to do Etch-a-Sketch. Are you?
I mean, we're Etch-a-Sketch. I have a couple friends who have some old like Pong video games. They're going to bring those. One of my friends who's going to contribute to the thing, he sent me a picture of his tube TV that he had hooked up with Pong. So he's going to bring that. Yeah. So I think it'll be really a fun and exciting way to engage kids with history, with them out really realizing.
I'm shaking my head because it's not just going to be the kids, it'll be the parents who will be so excited too.
It'll be so fun. And I think people think, when you hear history or you hear historical society, I mean, I think Melissa would agree with me that we are often at a bit of an uphill battle, that there is this kind of, I don't know, lofty concept around a historical society that's not for everybody. And that's not true. History is for everyone. And even again, recent history is still history worth celebrating. And sometimes in the digital age, even more so, because things they're not concrete. We have so few donations in our collections at Essex Historical Society from the past 50 years that when we find a physical photograph of a past event, or the Essex Ed Parade, for example, I don't know if you got to see Edna yet.
I have seen Edna. She looks lovely. And for those of you who do not know about Essex Ed or Essex Edna, as it is this year, you need to do some Googling.
Yeah, that was very fun. We had some really wonderful ladies come out, and we're very excited to make that costume. So I think it's just putting the fun back in history, making it accessible, making sure everybody gets to enjoy history in this 250 year.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. So, and honestly, I'm surprised by how many people are listening to all of our podcasts. I guess I shouldn't be, because we have such great rock stars of podcast right here, and we've had in the past too. But I met a gentleman who moved from California and came in to meet with us because he listened to our podcast, and he just moved here and he wanted to know a little bit more, and these help. So with that having been said, let's get people to Essex. So, Melissa, what would you say makes Essex so unique, both current and historically? And then, Kate, you add in your 2 cents about that too. Or since we don't have pennies anymore, add in a nickel.
Well played.
Topical.
So here at Essex, I mean, it's 3 villages, 2 rivers, and 1 shared history. Right. And the idea that Centerbrook, Essex, and Iveryton all make up the town, all with three distinct characteristics. And when we provide tours, we always talk about how the town's history, at least from European descent times from the 1660s or so, they wax and wane. That one particular village, we know Essex Village so well, the strength of shipbuilding, but it all started with the agricultural in Centerbrook. And then a shipbuilding disappears, then there's industry in Centerbrook, and that's the best place for all the transportation links, the road, the railroad, small airport, then the highway eventually in 1969. And then as Centerbrook as industry disappears, what gets risen basically is the ivory industry in a very small part, very rocky area of the town. Geography determines how we live, and then the rise of the very unique ivory industry. And then as that disappears in the first half of the 20th century, then Essex Village again, people turn toward the water, and the tourism industry, the yachting industry really rise up. But the complexity of all three villages, all tied together with the Falls River, demonstrates truly American history. You think of all of these major factors, and they come together in a town of only 6,500 people. So we have the opportunity to collaborate with all of our other nonprofits and our all businesses as well to talk about history and strengthen all of those small stories. And we're just discovering new material, even though I've been here for over 11 years. Answering a research request this morning, going deep into a book that I was not aware of and pulling out another story. And I said to Kate as we look over our computers, I never heard this story before. This is fantastic. The sense of discovery is always there at Essex.
I think that's a good way to put it, the sense of discovery, because as we're doing these, we're doing them with other historical societies in Middlesex County. I am learning so much about everything. And what comes through with everyone is just what you're demonstrating, the passion for where we live, work, and play. So it's just fabulous. Kate, anything like if you were to say to somebody moving from California, why should I move to Essex? What would you say?
Well, I mean, Essex is unique because of the three village component and not just from the historical perspective that Melissa was talking about, but also just the people that decide to live in each of the three villages are often different and have, I live in the woods, for example, versus I have friends who live right on the water, and it dictates a different lifestyle, but we all, come together as the one town of Essex, which is super lovely. As somebody who was raised out west, it's really fun to live in a town that is as old as Essex and that has such rich history that dates back so far. And I think what is wonderful about, Essex natives and transplants alike is just this appreciation for the history of the town and kind of always wanting to understand more, appreciating the old buildings for what they are, asking questions. And I think that that's really special. And I know, there are a lot of old towns in Connecticut, but it has always kind of been the small town. It hasn't ever, even as it was a center for industry or a center for shipping, it didn't balloon so big that it lost its central identity. And I think that that's a really wonderful thing and really special. And it's just adorable and really cute to spend time in.
There's a good theme. Essex is adorable and cute.
Adorable. So if you haven't visited the Ivoryton Green or you haven't walked down the Essex Village Main Street at the holidays or during daffodil days, I mean, it is such a wonderful place to explore, and you can feel the passion of residents and business owners just for the town, and it's just a lovely place to be.
And I think you underscored something that's really important, and that it's the environment too. Everybody really cares about not the cuteness. Yes, we are cute in Essex.
Quaint.
Quaint. That's a better word.
Maybe a better word.
Yeah, maybe the better word. But it's just like, oh my gosh, you talk about the daffodil days. I tell everybody, I work in Middletown, so I tell everyone they have to do the daffodil drive, and I give them very explicit directions about how they do the circle and the loop. But that kind of thing, the sense of pride that I think everybody has in Essex, really matters.
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything, Melissa, you can add to about what besides cute or quaint that makes Essex unique?
Well, I like to think of picturesque too. Now
There you
the
go.
village that we do sometimes ignore is Centerbrook, and I drive through Centerbrook every
Mhm.
single day. And I've always thought that if you could have a time machine, if you're sitting at the light right there, that if you had the opportunity to go back in time, and every time you turned around at that intersection, you went back another 10 years or so, and you would see Centerbrook as the microcosm of American history, and the buildings get used and reused, and they're there, and you would see just that transition of everything changing, and yet we drive through Centerbrook every single day, and there's gas stations, and there's colonial homes, and there's a factory, and there's the stores that are always, I'm very passionate about general stores, the stores that are always changing. And sometimes we live our lives so intently, and we miss all of the other lives that this
Mhm.
one location has affected. And I love just, I think Kate will laugh, but I love to squint sometimes in a historic location and imagine away the telephone lines and the cars. And you can just see in Essex, when sometimes you squint, you can put yourself 100, 200, and some in certain locations 300 years ago. And that's a treasure. You don't get that in too many places.
I think you're right, and I think it's the respect that we innately have for where we live. So you don't demolish, you reuse, you
Mhm.
repurpose. So I think that's important. So, Melissa, what I took from that is that we all need to stop and smell the roses through squinting. Or no, no, let's
The
stop and smell,
daffodils.
not the daffodils, the witch hazel.
That's right.
There
So,
you go.
all of that, and we have a couple of minutes, so if you could quickly tell everybody the importance of witch hazel to Essex, I think that's like maybe aren't you doing a program about that? Maybe people listening would might come and what do you think?
So
So let's go
you
ahead,
want me to jump
Melissa.
in? Okay. So witch hazel, natural growing, it's kind of an annoyance shrub in very marshy areas. And for hundreds of years, native peoples and then European descendants were, you can distill the bark and make a soothing
Right.
salve. Many locations had um, different kinds of bottling, and we think about snake oil salesmen. But the Dickinson family here in town, T.N. Dickinson, who had a variety of different jobs, but he and his partners were able to really market the brand, eliminate other competitors. And then his son, Edward Everett, or E.E. Dickinson, around the turn of the 20th century, was a marketing genius. And they created an industry to process witch hazel, and then always were a step ahead of government regulations, seat on the stock exchange, always knew where the next marketing development would come from, and we're placing that. So uh, tradition says that over 80% of the world's witch hazel, or United States' witch hazel, I should say, was coming out of the Essex area. And Essex Steam Train today is located in
Right.
former structures by E.E. Dickinson Witch Hazel Company, and they were running this large company with just 75 people. So by the 1980s, the factory was no longer in business and had gotten absorbed by other factories. But Dickinson Witch Hazel is still produced today by American Distilling, based out of East
And
Hampton.
right, I was just going to say, right, it's still in Middlesex County, which is important to all of us. And I will say that there's one other thing about witch hazel. And yes, the shrub I planted it. And so, it's lovely. It's the first sign of spring too, in many instances. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it blooms about now, which is why we thought it would be fun to have the program in
that's
February. So
perfect.
that'll be on
That's
Friday the 27th at 5 p.m. And we're trying to make room for some more attendees. So space was going to be an issue. So we're trying to make some room. So hopefully we can get some of the listeners to that. And if I may, before we sign off with our chat, I also really want to mention one of our big events this year is going to be a crafts and trades weekend in June. The weekend right before the 4th of July is kind of EHS's ode to the 250, where we're going to be doing trades and crafts demonstrations
Oh,
with local artisans. And so we're actually seeking local artisans to come and demonstrate and to show their crafts. So specifically focusing on crafts that would have been around at the colonial era, and also working with like a blacksmith. We have a blacksmith that we're bringing in and a glass blower, but we're also looking for textile artists and leathersmiths, and anybody who's done anything with kitchen and preserving. So hopefully we'll have some, maybe even some witch hazel discussion in regards to that, since that was
so will you be distilling it?
yeah, probably not distilling it, but maybe we will have a couple of vials of how it may have been soaked in alcohol once upon a time. So yeah, so we're really excited about that, and all of our many of our programs are made possible and are going to hopefully be free all year long, because of the Melissa, if you could remind me of Allison and Stephen Brinkman
Family
yeah,
Foundation at the Community Foundation of Middlesex County.
thank you. It goes long. It goes on and on, that one.
There you go. Well,
So we're very
oh my
excited
goodness,
about
you've
that.
got a lot on your plate, and it's very exciting. And thank you for sharing, because I do love where I live, and I do love where I work. I do love where I play. So Essex is perfect, and you two have brought Essex home to me, through this, and hopefully to everybody else. And I want people to remember all of those dates so they can. What's the date? February 27th.
February 27th, and our website, essexhistory.org. So it's a
Right.
nice, easy one, has all of our events and
Okay.
information. Yeah, and we're happy to answer any further questions on any of that. We like to hear from the audience and hear from our neighbors. So please send us an email, and we'd love to hear from you.
So we're glad you moved from the West, Kate, and we're glad you drive through Centerbrook every single day, because we do live in a very special place. So thank you. And ladies, okay, you've got so much on your plate, but you've got to be thinking forward. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year? Melissa?
So, a couple of things, and that is because of the America 250. Now, the last 3 years, I have been behind a microphone talking about the semi-quincentennial, and people, they just let it wash over them, right? But thank you, Ken Burns, for your terrific documentary
Right.
and the wonderful opportunities that the National America 250 organization is bringing forward. This is the year for history. When I've been in the field for so long and the humanities combine dance and music and history and art, but this is the year for history. And what
Mhm.
we're finding is that there are so many terrific collaborations that are developing that people, just this morning, Kate said, hey, I got this email. You want to talk about something for the summer or the fall? And that in addition to our 3 to 4 programs a month, which is fantastic. So we're going to try and ride that wave and use those collaborations, because this is the opportunity to learn more about ourselves. And we're working wonderfully with the Essex Town Commission for America 250. In fact, Patriots Day weekend, April 17th, 18th, and 19th. I'm giving a talk on 5 lives of the Revolution, which talk about all sorts of people. And we're working with Essex Meadows this year for History Hour once a month. We've got programs on Friday, with usually the third Friday morning of every month. We'll be having speakers in, or I'll be giving talks, and that will be through the entire year, free and open to the public. Then the major gala, the launch on Patriots Day weekend, which will be actually the 18th at Essex Steam Train, and more information can be found on our website. But there's so much that we're looking forward to having history seep into everyone's life this year.
So we need to celebrate the 251st anniversary of our country, because there's way too much to do. So, Kate, what are you looking forward to?
Well, after all of the major
She
celebrations
took she took a deep breath.
of the 250th, I would be remiss to not mention that it is also an Essex Holiday House Tour year. So, in addition to all of the 250 programming, we are very excited that after all of the red, white, and blue are maybe packed away for the season, we will get to don our red, white, and green
There you
in
go.
in some holiday fashion, and we are very excited to bring back the Holiday House Tour this year. So that will be kind of the second half of the year for EHS. Will be focused a lot on that, which was such a wonderful event when we hosted for our first time into 2024. And we brought over 1,000 people to town for that event, and it was just such a lovely holiday festive atmosphere in town. And so we're really excited to be bringing that again this year, and we will be bringing back the boutique as well this year. So a little
and
extra
there's nothing
shopping.
better than the holidays in Essex.
No.
Absolutely nothing. So, all right. So everybody's got to come to Essex now and through the end of the year and beyond.
And again, and you can come back. Come back when it's colder. Yeah.
Again and again. So ladies, thank you. We thank you for what you do. We really appreciate everything. And thank you for putting the exclamation point after 250th celebration. We so appreciate it. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much. And thanks for your continued support.
Thank you.
You are more than welcome. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Meaningful Mondays. At the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, we know that philanthropy matters and philanthropy works. Together, we support the arts, education, human services, animal welfare, the environment, heritage enhancements, and so much more by providing services, programs, and grants to our local nonprofits. We invite you to learn more and share your passion with us. Visit us at middlesexcountycf.org or contact us at 860-347-0025. Together, we can make great things happen.